What is going on, guys? Robbie here. Hope you guys are doing well. Don't really know what platform this is going to come over. I know I'm going to post this video on Facebook and kind of give my thoughts on what tomorrow means. I guess just for someone that doesn't really follow politics as much as I probably should. Tomorrow is a scary day, and obviously tomorrow's election day. For those who are not in the U.S., and even if you are not living in the U.S., you probably know what tomorrow is in terms of this country and what the stakes are. And what I'm telling you is I'm not going. This isn't a purpose. This isn't probably going to be even a long video because, again, I don't feel comfortable talking about politics. Not because I don't want to, but at the end of the day, what happens. Unfortunately, what happens. Whether you like it or don't like it. I want to get into a lot of what people have been saying, what posts I've been seeing, and honestly, what I've been really unfollowing people for, unfriending people. And it's unfortunate because we are in a time in our country where we as a people and we as people may not know exactly what it means to have a voice and what exactly it means to have an impact in our society. And that sucks because I think so many people go throughout their life and, they're okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a part of something. I'm going to create a change. And they feel that their voice is not being heard or it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter if I vote. It doesn't matter if I don't vote. At the end of the day, it does not matter because whatever happens is going to happen and it's not going to affect me. That's where I kind of want to address, some things. And it's hard to say because I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, well, why are people encouraging other people to go vote and saying, oh, I don't care who you vote for, when obviously you should care who somebody votes for? Because if you want the person to use their platform, and I've talked about this in length plenty of times, about voting and about using your platform to demand social justice, to demand certain rights for certain people, to speak up against issues that you are passionate about. And one of the biggest things that I think that I have learned over the past few years, and I really over the past few years, I've enjoyed sitting down and reading more and listening more. And it's so hard because the moment you say something about someone or something that someone else doesn't agree with, you are completely on the onset, and you're completely trying to have to play defense against everybody else who doesn't think about that the same way you do. And I'm talking about any kind of social issue. I'm talking about the election. If you don't agree with Donald Trump, then you're obviously a Biden supporter. If you don't agree with Biden, you're obviously a Trump supporter. And I don't like that because we live in a country where we are about to elect or re-elect a new president. And that's why tomorrow is so important. That's why voting early was so important, because I think a lot of people don't have the access. And it's weird because you talk about voting early, everyone's like, oh, well, you must be on the left side if you're voting early, or if you're writing in ballots. That's obviously you're voting for the other side. And I hate that because maybe someone truly can't get off work, or maybe they work all day. Maybe they work until when the polls open until the polls close. There are people in hospitals that work 12, 13, 14-hour shifts that are unable to go vote on election day. And maybe they have to do an absentee ballot. Maybe they have to vote early. Maybe they just don't want to stand in a line for 4 or 5 hours on election day. And I want to challenge all of you who are afraid of doing that. And if that is going to keep you from voting tomorrow. I'm recording this on Monday. Voting day is tomorrow. Election day is tomorrow. If that is keeping you from voting then I want to challenge you to download a podcast, download your favorite soundtrack, download a few podcasts, ask for suggestions tonight on social media. Be like, hey, everybody, I'm going to vote. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I need some podcast suggestions. Give me something. It doesn't have to be political. It can be comedic. It can be entertaining. It can be true crime. It does not matter. What I'm telling you is don't let the waiting time and don't show up to the polls, see a long line and say, I'll come back later, because I promise if you come back later, you're probably not going to come back. And when you do come back, the lines are probably going to be just as long, if not longer. Now, that being said, I know a lot of people, and I think that happens with the world today. And I think that happens with a lot of people saying, oh, well, if you say one thing, if you are taking this coronavirus, and let's just go with what is going on in the world, the coronavirus, the pandemic that is happening right now as we speak. And that will continue to happen until something changes or until there's a vaccine available. And even then, who knows if this is even going to go away. But if you have a certain opinion, whether, you should wear a mask, then people are like, oh, well, then you must be pro-Biden because he wants people to wear a mask all the time. Ooh, he wants to lock people up. Instead of saying, okay, well, you just care about people. No, you only care about Biden and you hate Trump. But then, of course, if you don't wear a mask, or if you are even against wearing a mask for just a second, people say, oh, well, you're pro-Trump. You must hate America. You must hate people's health. And yes, do I think the president has dealt with this the way that he probably should have? No. I think he could have handled it a lot better. But it's hard to say, oh, well, this guy would have done differently. This guy would have done differently. It's hard to say that because right now we are playing Monday morning quarterback. The time has crossed. Millions of lives have been affected by this. Hundreds of thousands of lives have died because of this virus in just the U.S. alone. And I want to, this isn't a political ad for one side or the other. I already voted. My choice is decided. I don't care. And it sounds weird to say, oh, I don't care who you vote for, but obviously I do. I want you to vote for one candidate or the other, but I'm not going to tell you who I voted for because I don't think that my voice and my opinion is going to skew you. You need to do some research. If you don't know who you're voting for, if you still are the 1% of people that are still on the edge and not sure who they're going to vote for, I encourage you to read things, to go to each person's campaign website or their URL or their website or whatever, and see what they believe in. See some of the things that how they stand on certain issues, because it's important. It's important to vote. It's important to get your message out there. It's also important to encourage others to vote, because that is what I think is the number one thing that people don't think matters. And we live in a society and we live in a system where sometimes it feels like it doesn't matter if I vote or not. My vote isn't going to matter. But aside from the presidential election, which you may think, oh, my vote doesn't matter because it's the Electoral College and all that stuff. And I get that. I get your hesitation to not want to vote for that. But think about the issues locally, regionally, that you do have an impact with. There are big time Senate seats, Congress, delegates, all this stuff that is happening. There are laws that are being passed probably in your region, in your city, that if you don't vote for, then you have no reason to complain about it at a later date. Same thing, and people say this all the time. If you don't vote, and I don't care if you vote for Trump, I don't care if you vote for Biden, I don't care if you vote for Joe Jorgensen, I don't care. But at the end of the day, if you don't vote, you have no standing, and people say that all the time. If you don't vote, then you have no reason to complain about anything that happens over the next 4 years. And that's true, but let's be honest, people. you are going to complain whether you vote or not. That is America. America, we love to complain. We are I would say, and maybe I don't know, I've never been to every country, I've been to a few countries, but I can probably honestly say that Americans probably complain about the dumbest stuff the most. And I don't know if it's just because we're selfish, if we are just so self-centered. And I'll admit it, I complain a lot. I'll be the first to admit that I complain a lot. But I'm working on not trying to complain as much. Yes, if you don't vote, you're probably still going to complain. Let's be honest. If Biden wins, you're going to be like, oh, it was fixed, whatever. If Trump wins, the other side's going to think the exact same thing. And unfortunately, that's the society we live in, that's the world we live in, and we're not going to get rid of that anytime soon. I hate it. I know you probably hate it. But at the end of the day, that is the way that we are standing. I encourage you to vote. That is my main purpose, my main message through this. And again, of course I care who you vote for, but I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. That is your decision. If you are 18 years old, if you are able to vote, you should have the resources, you should have the smarts, and you should be able to find out who is the best candidate suited for your vote. Don't do it because, oh, I've always voted Republican. Oh, or I've always voted independent, or I've always voted Democrat. Don't do it based on color. Don't vote because you are red, blue, or in the middle. Vote because the candidate that you are voting for deserves your vote. We get that so much, and I truly, truly believe that there are so many people that vote based on what party the person is running for. There are some people that I have a feeling that if the worst person on planet Earth of all time was to run for your party, you would probably vote for them because they're wearing a red tie or a blue tie. Unfortunately, that is the society we live in, where people are skewed by the colors and what is easiest. When you're voting, when you are thinking about voting, when you are preparing yourself today to vote tomorrow, if you haven't voted already, I challenge you. Read, do research, listen to something that will give you information to help you decide who to vote for. Don't vote for red, don't vote for blue, don't vote for down the middle, don't vote for left, don't vote for right. Vote for the person that best suits you and your vote. That's what it comes down to. I'm challenging you as someone who has voted Democratic, who has voted Republican, who has voted down the middle, someone that has voted on all sides over the past 4 or 5 elections that I've been a part of. I think I've been a part of 3 presidential elections now. This is my 3rd one. Fourth one. I encourage you to vote for who you believe deserves your vote. That's all I've got to say. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving me the time of day to tell you my opinions and why I think it's so important that you vote for the candidate that best lines up with your beliefs, that best lines up with what you want in a president. Like in Hamilton, it's a lose-lose. Most likely, we're not going to be pleased with over the next 4 years, whether it's Trump being reelected or Joe Biden coming into power. Most likely, we are going to complain about it over the next 4 years. All I'm telling you is to do your research, do something about it, and vote tomorrow. Enjoy yourself. Have a great day. And you know what? Go vote.